All right. We ready to roll? Okay. I'd like to call the Governance Committee, please, to meeting to order. And I understand there are no public speakers today, so the first order of business is the approval of our minutes of which is in the book. What was this? The March 21st 11 meeting. May I please have a motion? Second, please. All in favor? Opposed? Minutes are so approved. The next item on our agenda is the revisions to the MTA bylaws, which is an action item. Tim, you want to?
Yes. We review the bylaws annually. We conducted that review. With this revision, proposed revision to the bylaws would revise the indemnification bylaw to address concerns that have been previously raised about the procedure for authorizing indemnification. Our bylaws presently provide for indemnification for claims arising from official duties, and indemnification is afforded unless an individual seeking indemnification is determined not to have acted in good faith. I'm simplifying, but that's the basic idea. The existing bylaw, however, requires that when indemnification is requested by a board member, that request be submitted to the board for determination. Based upon responses from board members about this procedure, the proposal would revise the procedure to provide that council would review requests for indemnification, and it would go to the board only if council believes the facts and circumstance warrant denial of a request or raise serious questions as to whether a requester is entitled to indemnification. So it would simplify the procedure for review of the requests.
If you move up here, you can. Back there, we're not going to.
Board, to the governance committee, to some entity as to what he has done, so that the board may know.
Oh, with respect to requests that have been afforded.
Correct.
We could include, I don't think it needs to be in the bylaw, but we could have a procedure whereby part of the work plan of the governance would be a report on indemnification.
In most of the Delaware indemnification statute, where they have granted indemnification, they have a report back to either the board or some committee of the board.
I don't see any problem with a report to the governance committee on the past actions that have been approved.
Okay. So with that change, may we have a motion, please? A second, please? Please. All in favor? Aye. Okay. So approved. The next item is the review of the governance committee charter, and I understand that there's no changes here, Jim, so do we just...
There's no need for, unless someone else, it's been reviewed, there's been no proposed change. If anyone else has a proposed change.
You and I have a conversation on the labor portion, correct?
We're talking now about the corporate governance committee charter.
I understand. You and I were going to have a discussion on that portion of governance that has been adopted concerning labor. This is not the place for it.
Right.
But at some point we have got to have that, because that is really not helpful to either MTA or to us.
Happy to have that discussion. This is specifically about the charter for this committee, though, not the governance guidelines, so there's no recommended changes there. Now, the next item on the agenda is the third one, which is an action item, and it's to approve revisions to the board committee charters for 3 specific committees. That's on page 15 of your book.
Why don't you take us through that now, Jim,
So,
while we're on it?
Certainly. Actually, it's on page 15 of your book, and it contains proposed revisions to the Audit, Finance, and Diversity Committee charters, as well as to the MTA governance guidelines. They're, for the most part, ministerial in nature. The staff summary describes those changes. If there's any discussion. No, the Audit Committee charter is proposed to be revised from a minimum of 6 meetings to a minimum of 4 meetings. 4. It's 4 in the charter.
Right, it's a minimum of 4, but you can have more, obviously.
Minimum of 4, but we're going to have 5.
So those were proposals made by each of those committees for their charters. The change to the governance guidelines is ministerial, just to correct a committee, to update a committee name. The Safety and Security Committee is now the Safety.
So this one is an action item, so we do need a vote. Is it okay to move it?
Yeah, I want to make a comment.
So go ahead, Susan. So do it now. Go ahead before we do it.
Diversity, I know we've been struggling with where things should be recorded. In my committee meeting last month, it came out that the committee seems to feel that we should push some of what we're reporting in diversity back into the agency presentations. And I'm going to be talking to you gentlemen to see how to achieve that. I'm not saying it means any changes to the diversity charter, but it may mean some changes in the procedures of reporting.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so that's noted, Lamont, everything's,
Noted.
we're okay with that? Okay, great. So then, a motion, please? A second, please? All in favor? Opposed? That's so moved. Okay, the next item on our agenda is also an action item, and this is revisions to the MTA Code of Ethics policies. Lamont or Jim, anybody on this?
Okay. We are proposing some minor revisions to the MTA All-Agency Code of Ethics as well as the MTA Board Member Code of Ethics based upon certain changes in law resulting from the passage of the Public Integrity Reform Act of 2011. I'm not going to go through all the different changes, but I think the real story here is how resilient our code has been, that even when they've passed this new law, we are only having to make minor changes to our code. One of the changes that you will note is that it's the peer-required ethics training on an ongoing basis. As you probably know, we've been doing that for the last 6 years. We've had mandatory training of MTA employees since 2005. The only difference is they require a 3-year schedule, while we were on a 4-year turnaround. So we'll just have to increase the number of training sessions that we do each year.
You realize that the controller insists on one training session, you insist on 3, various other agencies add to that list. I have been trained 5 times last year. I'm not joking.
Did you pass or fail?
No, I failed every one of them.
Right. Well, this will be every 3 years, and you'll have the pleasure of sitting down with me every 3 years to discuss ethics. So I'll make it as painless as possible.
And in terms of being insisted, it would be insisted by our MTA Code of Ethics, but that's because of the change in law that the legislature has insisted on this.
Okay, so is there anything else significant in there?
No, there's some other.
Okay, so a motion made, please. Second, please. All in favor? Okay, so moved. The next item over here is the review of all agency bereavement policy, and that's also an action item. Lamont or Jim, who's going to?
If there are any questions, this is updating the bereavement policy to also conform to changes in law. We've been following the law, but changes the definitions to reflect the treatment of domestic partners as required by state law. There's also an additional change concerning the period of time over which bereavement leave can be taken. If there are any questions, I think the head of Human Resources, Margaret Connor, is here. Otherwise,
Okay, motion, please. Motion. Thank you, Mr. Merler. A second, please. And all in favor? And opposed? So done. Okay. Maggie, don't rush. Maggie, wait a second. You're called here. Come here. Don't rush out of here so quick. No. We're kidding. We're kidding. Bye. Okay, next item over here is the review of MTA whistleblower policy. Not an action item. It's an information item.
right. This is an annual review that we conduct. The policy was last adopted and revised in June of 2010. We are not recommending any changes in the policy, but as part of our governance practices, we do review it each year.
Satisfactory to everybody? Okay. The next item is compliance with procurement lobbying law. I guess this is not an action item.
Is not an action item. Each year, we reach out to the agencies to ensure that they have policies and procedures in place to ensure compliance with procurement lobby law, and I'm happy to say, based upon our review, that that is in fact the case.
Okay. Thank you, Lamont. Now, the next item is the approval of the 2012 committee work plan. Is there any changes or
That is
to talk about?
that is in your book. The only change is, I think, to move from March 2012 to November 2012, the update of the bylaws. Since we've just revised them here, it made sense, I thought, to not do it in another 4 months, but look at them again.
Is an impediment, I take it, if we agree that there ought to be some discussion.
Oh, no. If there's a need for revision to any of these documents, it can be brought to the governance committee.
We took an appeal,
Okay, no comment. Okay, next item. Motion.
Yes, can we have a motion to approve the work plan?
Right. Do we need a motion on the work plan? No.
We might as well.
Okay, a motion, please, for the 2012 committee work plan approval?
Yes.
Second? All in favor? Anybody opposed? Our work plan is approved, Lamont.
Great.
Okay, next thing. Motion to go into executive session. May I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss a matter made confidential by state law, which is therefore exempt from the open meetings law pursuant to section 108(3) of the Public Officers Law. Second? That was the topic. It's always, okay, second. All in favor, please? Thank you. Please clear the room.